Welcome to Meeting of the Moms, a place to talk about all the things. I'm Lorna Adams. I'm a wife, mom, and certified life coach. I think being with people makes anything a party. Thanks for coming to ours. I'm here with my good friend Amy. For years, we've spent the early morning hours running and talking together before diving into our days.
Hey, I'm Amy Rasmussen. I'm a teacher by profession, a wife and mother by choice, an optimist by nature, and happy by design. Here at Moms, we believe the world is wide open to all of us and that we have unlimited potential. We're so glad you're here. We are about 2 weeks into summer, and 2 weeks ago, approximately, we recorded about all kinds of ideas. We were brainstorming, right? We were just like, sky's the limit. Let's have lots of hopes and dreams for summer. And so today I thought we could look at reality of summer and see what we come up with. So, are you up for that?
Sure.
All right. Let's do it. So, I loved re-listening to the list of stuff we came up with just because it was so fun. It's really fun, I think, to just think of all the options, to be in the option mode because you can just dream a little bit. But then even when I was reviewing it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not doing all of those things. There's no way that I can humanly do them all. So which things do I actually want to do? So when you think of our list from 2 weeks ago, are there any things that still jump out at you as like, yes, I want to still do that, or you have done it? Or are there things that you were like, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm already just telling myself no. What did you do with that list?
When I looked at the list again, I'm like, that was a ton of things. Yeah, I am not doing a lot of those things.
Yeah.
And even in the middle of it, it wasn't like, yeah, I'm going to do all of the things,
Yep.
but there was a good amount that I was like, oh, that could be cool. Maybe I want to consider that, right? So when I looked at it again, I'm like, yeah, there are definitely things I'm not worried about at all.
Yeah.
But it was fun to kind of think about some of the things that have happened just kind of naturally, and then some that I still want to be working toward. The fun thing, just a random fun thing, a friend of mine reached out and wants to start a women's hiking group,
Awesome.
hiking thing. And so one morning a week, it started last week. I went last week, and then this week I wasn't able to, I was out of town. But that was kind of fun, that just from talking, I have wanted to do a few more hikes. I was wanting to bring it up. And I actually did bring it up to my son about one particular hike in our area that he's willing to go with me on. I'd asked him and he said, yeah, he'd be fine with it. And then it was fun that this other opportunity came up, and I'm like, yay, I can be getting even more hiking in. That'll be great.
That is fantastic. Cool. Well, I have a question about that. So are all the hikes going to be pretty close to your area?
Yes. Yeah. They're just like a 1 hour-ish hike, and it's going to take us like 5 to 15-ish minutes to get there.
Awesome.
There's lots of places to go hiking. The gal who's doing it is very familiar with our area. And so it's nice as she's kind of rattled off things and places we can go that are close. And it really is an early morning thing. So to be able to do early morning and be back in time for work or for kids or whatever is
right, for
cool.
life, all the rest of life.
Yeah. So kind of cool.
So tell me how early morning is.
7, just 7.
Yeah.
But, and you could be back in time to be ready for work at 9 if you have a 9 o'clock job.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's early for a lot of people for the summer, but it's also not like ludicrously early. Like we're going at 5 a.m., right? So that's really cool. Yay.
Then I think just over the last couple weekends, I've had kids come home, my college kids, some of them have come home one weekend and others came home another weekend. So then that's been fun. Like that's absolutely what I want to be doing. And so it was just like a natural, like, yeah, I'm spending time with my adult kids too, my young adult kids too. And just looking for opportunities to be hanging out with them. And
which was one of your things, right? You're like, I want to be looking for opportunities.
Yep.
And so I think it helps a person be more open when the opportunities arise.
Yeah.
To being able to just enjoy them.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I don't think, like, we didn't officially talk about reading. Like, we talked a lot about reading and like family books, audio, whatever, right? Those types of things. But also, I had a few weeks ago, a month or so ago, I had gotten onto the Libby app and had requested some books that I wanted to read. Well, I probably, because the conversation was in my head and wanting to be a little more intentional with my time and what I want to be doing. And it's like, I would like to read a novel. So one of the books came ready for me to check out or to use, whatever it's called. I don't know what the term is for.
I think it's still check out. Yeah.
Okay.
That works.
So I'm like, oh, I'm going to totally do that. So I've started reading that. And I also know I like to just dive in and read the whole book as quick as possible. And so I've also been being mindful of doing it in smaller sprints. So that's been good too. Like anyway, so some just more reading, right? I love the personal development and I've done a little bit of that over the last 2 weeks, but I want to get in more of a routine, get some more happening, and then also some of the novels, like the clean, like rom-com type novels that I
Yeah.
like. So
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. That's fun.
yeah,
Just a little bit of escape reading, which can
yeah,
just be so nice.
yeah. It's
Oh,
fun
nice.
to have all the things. What about you, Amy? What
Yeah.
did you when you
Um,
were looking at the list?
well, one thing before I do that, I love too that you allowed yourself to go ahead and get a novel because you're like, yes, I like to get novels. And one of the problems with that sometimes can be like, I just dive in and everything else disappears. And then you just handle that and you
Yeah,
figure, you know what I mean? So you're being
yeah,
mindful of that too. So I love that when there's something we want to do and we're also mindful of something that can be a little tricky for us, we
yeah.
can address it. So yay, lots to celebrate there. Okay, so yeah, I went back over the list and there were things where I'm like, oh, good, I'm moving on that. And there's a couple things I did. I have assigned some cooking nights. They're not regular cooking nights, but I have told my kids once a week I want you cooking. And I had conversations with them about why that is, which I'm super thrilled about because once I explained the why, especially my two older kids were like, yeah, okay. And really, my adult child was like, well, I just still want to be doing some cooking as long as I'm not on fires because it's good for me to get used to that. Because when I'm on my own, I have to do it. So that came from him when we were figuring it out. And then I did get out my 3 hard copy print off calendar things and I got everything kind of penciled in. And I like to do it on these separate pieces of paper that's not the family calendar and it's all in pencil. So it can just be this working document and it can be a whole calendar of possibilities. And I did go through that magazine I told you about that has a lot of the events in the community because there's like lamb days in one of the small towns. There's lace days. There's Hub City days. There's several other things. Oh, Welsh
So fun.
days. I don't know. There's all kinds of things in these different communities. I am absolutely not going to all of them. In fact, by putting them all on the calendar, I was able to see, okay, that one I'm for sure not doing because it's during, oh, well, there's one this weekend called Rat Fink Reunion. So anyone who's familiar with Rat Fink art, that artist lived in my town. He has passed away now, but there's a museum and all kinds of things. And so I won't be doing that because I'm leaving town with my youngest son to go to summer games for him to play
Yeah.
soccer. So it was just nice to be like, okay, that's a definite no because I already said yes to something else. So
Well,
super thrilled I did that.
yeah, awesome. I was going to say too, my husband ended up bringing home, he had ordered a big dry erase calendar for 2026
Okay.
and he had brought it home just the other day. And I was like, oh, that could be fun to pull out. If I want to do that same idea that you're talking about with the
Yeah.
3 months all on the same page or, visible at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I thought that was kind of a funny thing that just happened too.
So I have to think about that. I'll talk to you about it later. Whiteboard, calendar, writing it down. And then I did get a chalkboard, like a chalkboard picture of each of us in our family. I even got one of my husband for the beginning of summer. And he was maybe a little bit more of a reluctant participator in that. I had one of my kids hide behind it and just hold it up next to him while he was like chopping stuff for dinner one night. And I have a picture of him. So he was like, okay, whatever you're doing. But I'm like, I just want a picture of you too. And when I said, well, what do you want to do this summer? He was like, I don't know. I don't want to play whatever game you're playing, basically. But I wrote down a couple things anyway for him.
Because you know what he would want to do. Some of the things, right?
That's right. He wants to do everything I tell him. No, I'm just kidding. But so that was kind of fun. And then I said I was going to do a moms and middle schoolers game day. So my two neighbors, like my neighbors on either side of me, each have a child in the same grade as my youngest, and they're friends. And so it was fun to just be like, well, do you and your middle schooler want to come over? And we all only have the one middle schooler. So the other kids were still in school and they got out early on this one day right before the end of school. And so we did games. So I'm super
Nice.
excited about those things.
Yeah.
And then I also started moving on a couple things. So we did talk about reading and I was like, okay, well, what book do I want to read? Because that's like the biggest hurdle is to figure out what book do I actually want to read aloud, just to get something, right?
Yeah.
I can think about it all I want. Well, I discovered that the one and only Ivan, which we've all read before in my family, is actually a
Mhm.
4-book series. And I'm like,
Oh,
perfect. I knew there were 2 books, but I
yeah.
didn't know about the next two. So I thought, well, let's just do that. I got the book and
I
I put the other ones on hold.
Well, I think our book club, like a handful of years ago when we were doing the middle school book club, I
Uh-huh.
think we read that. Oh, I'm going to have to look into it and
Yeah.
see if we really do have that one, if we really have read it,
Yep.
and then the other two. That's or other three. That's fun
Yeah.
to hear.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was kind of fun. And then, like I said, I got all of the local festivals written down on the calendar. So that was fun because it also was like, oh yeah, that could be fun if I feel like it when that time comes
Yeah.
or whatever.
Love even just having it on the calendar, like you were saying, because
Hmm.
then as the week is coming or as that day in the week is
Right.
coming, you get to decide. But at least you know rather than
Yep.
in hindsight being like, oh, I wish I would have known.
Yes. And I love, so those of you who do digital calendars, and I know I've said this before, but I'm saying it again. My friend told me that when she has something like that that she wants to be aware of, she uses gray. And so gray means it's penciled in. It's just
Mm,
information. It's not something she's said yes to or anything like that. And I think it's a brilliant thing. So I have used
yeah.
that too, because then it can still be there when you're looking at the week ahead to be like, okay, that's an option.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good. And one of the things that's so great about it is there are some free concerts in my area. And every year I miss the one that happens in May. And yes, I missed it again this year. I'm like, oh, I really do have to look in April. So I have a reminder in my phone to remind me to look in April because the first one's in May. But there's another one this weekend, and I think I would actually be back for my husband and me to go to be able to go to it. And if my husband doesn't want to, given what he's doing Saturday, then I can see if someone else wants to go with me because I'm a little curious about it. So
Yeah.
by doing that, then I can see like that's actually a possibility if I
Yeah.
want to do it. Whereas if I
Yeah.
had just left
Totally.
it in the magazine and been like, I'll look in there when I want to do stuff, I'd miss some of the things just because I didn't know. So,
Yeah. Well, and I do feel like I had the conversation with my son just saying there's going to be some local concerts, like local-ish, right?
right,
We're an hour and a half from each other.
right,
But it might be fun to look those up and get a group or do maybe a group date and go and do some of these things that are a little more local-ish and
right,
free to play on a summer evening. So
right.
anyway, that was fun because I could bring that up to him. Had we not talked, I wouldn't have even known that was a thing. So
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and I could tell you about the festivals too if they want to go to Lamb Days or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there's some fun things. I also, like I told you, I wanted to bring more hills into my life. And so last week, my other exercise friend and I, on one of our days, we walked towards our high school letter on the mountain. We didn't make it very far, but that's okay. We did it for the first time. And I made a note of some different hikes in the area to be aware of that I could do.
Nice.
So I'm just happy to be moving, right? I have no idea what's actually going to happen with some of these things, but I'm moving on them. I am moving on audiobooks for my youngest son and I because we're going a couple different places together. So, in fact, yesterday we listened to one of the audiobooks that I had, and then I put some on hold so they can be getting ready for us
Nice.
so that we can do that together on our drives. And then I think there were a couple others. Oh, then I have started doing something that's really simple with some weights because I wanted to start doing some weights. And I found a really low-key habit tracker app that is free. It's called Loop. Super simple. It does show you like your streak is or whatever, but other than that, it's just super bare bones. And I'm like, that's exactly what I need. I just need something where visually I can be like, oh, I did that thing 3 times this week that I wanted to do. So
Nice.
that was like an
Awesome.
extra bonus, Lorna, that I'm like, this one app I found, I'm like, this is not what I want. It only lets me have like 3 habits. I'm like, but I want to put in here separately that
Yeah.
I did the triceps or the push-ups because I'm just beginning and I can't say I'm going to do both on the same day. So I want them separate. So I started that. And then I did talk to my youngest son about kind of how we want to structure his summer, things that are important to him, things that I think need to be done. And so that was great because he's the one who has the least structure. My one adult son, obviously, he's doing the adult thing and he has a full-time job. And then my middle son, also of working age, he has a job. He's got lots of plans and goals. But my youngest, we needed to talk a little bit. So I'm glad that I got that done. So anyway, those are some exciting things for me at least that I got started on.
Awesome. I do think the conversation and then this conversation now, I think we're doing more than we think we are in
Yep.
general as people,
Yes.
right? To
Yes.
everyone. I think we're
Yep.
doing more than we realize. And so just sometimes slowing it down and really noticing what we are doing and the efforts that we have been making intentionally or unintentionally. I do love the idea of even just knowing like at some point I want to do this thing, like the whole vision board I know I want to do this eventually, and just it's in there, it's in the brain, it's on the mind at
Yep.
times. And so then sometimes we're drawn to that. And I think that's kind of what this is too. Like just trying to have a little more intentional summer maybe and doing a few more things that would make it fun and fulfilling. So I love it.
Yep. Yep. I also put in my bullet journal, I kind of transferred some things over there and I have a summer fun kind of possibilities. And I have this idea that rather than like a bucket list where I'm trying to do everything on a list, like what about a bucket list where I'm just filling my bucket? So how am I going to fill my bucket this summer?
Mhm.
And maybe the idea of like, as I do whatever I do, even if it's like a hike where you found out about, oh, this women's group is going to do this hike. That's new. I couldn't have planned on that. It's like something that I'm putting in my bucket that's feeding
Yeah.
me and that kind of stuff. So I like that. But I just transferring some of it into my bullet journal. And some of that happened because I went through that magazine, but they had all the libraries in the area listed. I'm like, maybe I'm going to visit every library in my area because I like to do that. Or the parks. And I'm like, we have way more parks in our county than I thought. Huh. Maybe I
Nice.
will, maybe. And this is all just like a maybe, right?
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
would mix up our days a little bit. And it would even, with my youngest especially, allow me to say, like, well, do you want to get some friends together? We'll go to this park. I'm going to be working on stuff, but nice to be outside working and have a new
You could be
location. So that
playing.
was fun.
Yeah.
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 And then one other thing I came up with, I ended up, this was not on the list anywhere, but I just kind of got down to the nitty gritty in cleaning like my living room. And I cleaned the fan off. I took the blades off and cleaned those. Like, really, I was just like, hey, I don't know if I will do the whole house, but I am doing this space. And our games are kept in that space. And as I was going through the games, I'm like, what if we tried to play every game this summer? And if we don't feel like playing it, then maybe we can get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
So I wrote that down just to see again, like we'll see how many games we get through. And then in doing that, I was like, we have a 1,000-piece puzzle in here. I'm putting it out on this table. It will probably be here all summer, maybe not even get done. Lorna, it's done already. One of my
Oh,
boys was
nice.
like, I'm kind of enjoying this puzzling. And so I'm like, how amazing that sometimes just dumping the pieces out. And you know what? I did because I did the same thing. I'm like, oh, the puzzle's there. I'm just gonna go and start separating the border pieces and the inner pieces. So I got that all separated. And then another day I'm like, I'm just gonna put the border together. But once the border was together, they just kind of were drawn to it and put it
Yeah.
together. So it was out less than a week
Yeah.
and they put it together. I'm like, oh,
So
okay.
fun. Well, I'm going to insert my family gave me a puzzle for Mother's Day.
Oh, fun.
The 2 weekends ago, when one of my young adult daughters came home, she and I sat down and we're working on the puzzle. And I'm working on, so it's just funny because I'm working on the border, right? That's how you
Yep.
do it. You work on the border. She's working on the inside. The border was way harder than the inside. She is like pretty much done with the middle.
Wow.
I'm still working on the border. Like the border was just all really dark, so it was
Oh,
hard to know where to put the different pieces.
wow.
And the inside had lots of color and whatever.
Hmm.
So I am laughing in that she was able to like knock it out quick, and it was to a point where I'm like, I want to do some of the middle. So I worked on some of the middle even before I got the border done.
Yeah.
And then we put it away. But as I'm talking to you, and it's still out because I thought, like, I put the puzzle away, but the box is still out.
Oh,
I want to pull that out again. And I'm just going to start it and do the middle first and
right.
then do the edges. And then if people want to help me, that's totally fine. But there is something about having it out. I have totally thought that. And I've heard the idea of even having like some crafty thing out
Mhm.
on a counter or a table. And so then when you have some downtime, it's easy and you just do it. And
Yep.
so I've liked that idea of just being mindful of having things available. So then when there is some downtime, it's like, oh, let's do this. This could be fun. So
Okay, speaking of crafty stuff, you have to talk about your little, you told me when we were running the other day, or walking, or whatever we each were doing, but the painting or whatever. Do you remember that little
yeah.
art kit?
Yeah. So it is called, I think it's Tobio's art kit. And we got our kids for Easter. We got them. And it's just like a probably whatever the size is, like a 2 by 2 inch book, 2.5 by 2.5, maybe 3 by 3. I don't know. It's pretty small, but it is like it's a little painting book that you can just watercolor, and then you turn the page and you watercolor some more. But the nice thing is it comes with a pen that you add water in that has a brush on it. So you're dipping your one paintbrush in paint, painting with it, and then you wash it off. There's like an armband that comes with it, kind of like a
Okay.
sweatband. You wipe it off, and then you squeeze for more water to come out, and you can do a different color. So you're just painting and it's just super easy travel. It can be indoor, outdoor, whatever. It just is so little. And the box, I mean, the box is probably, what is this size? Like 8 by 3, 8 by 4,
I
maybe.
can see this size.
Where's my measuring tape?
That's right.
Anyway, so but it's just super convenient to be able to pull out. We took it and did it when we were waiting in between my son's baseball games a few weeks ago. So it's just super convenient to have anywhere. I love the part that it's in a book, so you get to see your progress and the different things you've painted. So kind of a fun idea. And then the other thing I was sharing that same day that we were running, my daughter had a birthday and I had bought she'd asked for it. So I got her some air dry clay and she made lots of little miniature things and turned them into ornaments. But it has been so darling to see her creativity. And so I think either one of those could be fun to have out on a counter, and even like boondoggle and beads for bracelets. There's lots of things that I feel we have tucked away. But if I were just to have them sitting out, I could do it. My son could do it if he wanted to, or if he had some friends over, like, oh, let's do this. As other company and as our kids come for weekends or whatever, I think people would be using it if it's out, if we're just reminded that we have those things.
Yep. Well, and one of the things that was fun about the puzzle, and with a lot of these things you just mentioned, is it's tech free. So that's great.
Yeah.
And then you can be working on it and visiting.
Yes.
Or working on it in silence.
Yeah.
Right? It's not so brain consuming that you can't talk.
Yeah.
But it's not so boring that if your son had friends over or whatever, that it feels awkward. It's like, well, no, if everyone's quiet while they're making their boondoggle or while they're doing the puzzle, it's because they're thinking for a minute, right? And it's almost like the old school way of being able to deal with the uncomfortableness that sometimes we have around new people specifically or whatever in social situations. That's not a totally disengagement by getting on your phone, because you're still engaged in the group activity. So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are fun. I am curious if, as you looked at the list, which things you're like, oh, I do really hope I still do that. Either that or that's out. I'm not even going to go there this summer.
But really the only one that I put on my list after looking at it that I for sure still want to do is a family book. But that was the main one that popped out at me. What about you?
Yeah. There were, I think, just two for me. One is that I really do like the idea of having this spreadsheet of things that people want to do, different people in my family, like they want to do it, so that then at the end we can see like, cool, you guys, look what we did. So I do want to sit down and make that. And then the other thing is to talk through with my different family members and even with myself, the 4 focus areas, and just find out, is there something, whether it's like a goal or whether it's just like, this would be fun, is there something physical, social, spiritual, and intellectual? Or are we focusing everything except work is physical stuff? Because I think it's really important to touch on all of those, all 4 areas of life. And sometimes they can all go together, right? And that's fine. But those 2 I would really like to still do.
My son just went on Trek, like a Pioneer Trek. And one of the things I had thought about could be fun is to watch one of those Pioneer movies. It would give me a different perspective of what he went through and maybe a little more insight into what he went through. So as you're talking about the spiritual, that was a note I have made about watching that. But the idea of just opening up our mind, right, to just to different lifestyles and whatever, like this summer would be a fun time to watch that and talk about it, where he just has experienced that. But
that would be fun.
Good things, Amy. Those sound great.
Like it. Are there any things that as you looked, they weren't neutral, but they were absolutely like, nope, never mind.
But I didn't make a note of any of those.
Oh, okay. No, that's totally fine. I just wasn't sure. And honestly, I guess I don't know that I did. I didn't either, but I was just curious if either of us were aligned through something like, that is really just a no. So I'm just going to give myself a no on that.
Well, and I think the interesting thing about the 2 of us, you and me, is I do think you are more apt to do like lots of things that sound really great, and you can have lots of things on your plate at the same time.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm not wired that way in like there are lots of things going on just because we're humans, right?
Right.
But I don't have that same like, oh, I have to do all of these things.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting just to see how I do function and how you function
Yep.
and how I can celebrate that lots of things sound so fun and so great for you to do and you can be doing them.
Right.
And for me, yeah, lots of things can sound interesting or, there can be a variety of things that sound interesting and I may not do all of them. So
Yep.
anyway,
Yep.
just
Yep.
interesting to see our differences too, right?
Yep. And both work.
Yeah.
So that's what's really, really nice. Yeah. And still, like, we when we were talking about these, I was in the same boat as you, where I'm like, I'm not going to do everything we're talking about at all. But sometimes I like to have a really big menu because I don't know what I'm going to feel like doing. So yeah, right now
Yeah.
I feel like doing certain things, but there's other things that in the middle of summer I might be like, I don't really want to. But
Yeah.
I love having the menu
Yeah.
because then then I have ideas. So in those
No,
moments where I'm not having lots of ideas, I can look at my menu and be like, "Oh
totally.
yeah, I
Well,
think that is awesome." So,
I think it's just helpful to have the ideas so then you can be doing things if you want
mhm.
to. Because
Yep,
sometimes there's nothing to do. I have no ideas. Like,
right.
this is so boring. Where it's fun to be at a place where there's some creativity going
Mm-hmm.
and you can have some ideas on a piece of paper or have kind of a plan on how you want to do some things if it works out too,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. Well, and you know those like blah days or those blah weekends where you might be feeling antsy or you're feeling like, okay, I really, it's like it's being still and sitting around. This isn't feeling restful. It's feeling just like meh. But the energy to go find something to do is not really feeling awesome either. That's when it's really nice to be able to look at something
Yeah.
and be like, "Oh, okay, I am going to make myself and the family go do this thing." Like when the kids were younger, especially, it was helpful sometimes to be like, we don't have to love this thing we're going to initially. Let's just at least go walk around and check it out. And if we
Yeah.
hate it, fine, we'll come home and we'll be done. But if something's fun, then we'll do it. But it helps in those moments of low energy when you
Yep.
still want to be doing something.
Yep.
So we
Yep.
just kind of had a weekend. It was last weekend where we didn't get up and get out and we just moved slowly. We did a lot of puzzle work. It was raining, so some of the plans we had were not going to work. I thought like, oh, I could go on a hike. Yeah, that didn't happen. It just ended up being kind of blah, and I think some of us in the family were okay with it, and others were like, I now feel worse after that weekend because that's the time I
Mm.
had and I didn't get myself out the door. So we all have those times. So yeah, it's just good to have. All right. Well, anything else you want to say at our 2 week summer check-in?
There's still unlimited possibilities for
Yep.
summer. We can still add or change or do whatever. Like it just is fun to be in this open-minded space of lots of options, lots of possibilities if we want them, and we don't have
Yep.
to do any of them, right?
Yep. Yeah. I guess my goal is that I can be grateful for what summer was. And some of that, for me at least, happens with a little bit of intention.
Yeah.
Also, some not so much intention that I don't have flexibility and being aware because it is so easy. Someone could like make no list of things that are possibilities and just make some different notes as they're going through the summer about like, that was fun. I'm glad I did that. Make the I'm glad I did that
Yeah.
list. So at the end of summer, and really, especially with your kids, you can look back and see that. We have a mutual friend who has 8 kids. She had shared with me that at some point her kids were like, we never do anything. And she's like, yes, we do. And she was great at scrapbooks. And so she pulled them out and she was like, see this stuff? And I don't think it's just kids who are prone to that. I think
I
we can
agree.
be prone to it too, right?
Yeah.
When we're down in the dumps or whatever. And I think more than anything, that's why this stuff's so good for me, so that I can look back with awareness and think, that was fun. Oh, and I am glad I did that. And wow, we did do that thing on that random day or whatever. Like a picture, I have a picture of my 2 sons and me with the puzzle when we finished it. Not because it's the most amazing picture in the universe, but it's an everyday thing. And looking back, I'd be like, oh yeah, we totally worked on that puzzle. Do you remember how hard it was to get all the stupid McDonald's things? Because it's Times Square. So I don't know. I just think it can bring the joy again. It's like
Yeah.
another touch on the joy.
Awesome. Awesome.
All
So good.
right.
So like like the 2 weekends ago, I said 2 weekends I've had young adult kids home, right? Well, the first weekend when they were home, when one of my older daughters was home and my son was around, It was hot, so they were wanting to turn on sprinklers. And so I went and found the sprinkler and we turned on the sprinkler and they are totally out there playing in the sprinkler. And it was so fun. It was so nostalgic for me to be in this space. We've done this for years and my kids are just getting older. And so we aren't doing similar things like we used to.
Right.
But it was so fun to watch them running through the sprinklers. And then I am totally videoing. We're talking about like, let's get a fun action shot of this. And anyway, they were playing catch. I was doing some videoing of some things as they were doing sprinklers. And anyway, it just was so fun. It just was fun for my mom heart as our life stages are shifting. It just was sweet to be there. And then one of them had said that they were kind of hungry. It was around lunchtime. And I think my son had said, will you make us sandwiches? And even that was like, yes, I will totally make you sandwiches. This is totally nostalgic. You guys playing outside. I've been out for a while with you guys.
Right.
Now we need food. We're starving. So I totally went in, made sandwiches, and used our sectioned trays like you get at lunch. We have totally had those 3 years. And I don't touch them very often. Like once in a great while I will. But this was a great while. I pulled out their little trays and I made their sandwiches. I went out, took their food, and I stayed out there and ate lunch with them too. And anyway, it just was so sweet and tender for my mom heart. Like I am celebrating that life is changing and evolving, and that's okay. But it was just fun to be back in this little space and just enjoy this moment with my kids a little bit older, but still enjoying similar things.
Yeah.
So
fun.
And then the other thing I wanted to just expand on a little bit for Mother's Day, when my family gave me a puzzle, it was a personalized puzzle where I am in the middle. It's me with my kids and we're all dressed up as superheroes. And it's just the back of us. It's super cute. But it is me in the middle with a cape. I'm probably Wonder Woman. I actually am not super great at all the superheroes. I know they're superheroes. My son is totally Spider-Man. He loves Spider-Man and has loved Spider-Man for lots of years. And then my girls are also female superheroes. And it just super cute. Like it was so tender and special that they gave me that for Mother's Day. And then that was the puzzle that one of my young adult daughters and I did when she was here for that one weekend.
That is super fun. Well, it even gives me an idea for this one son who was like, I kind of like puzzles. I could totally give him a personalized puzzle for like a birthday or something, and then we could do it together. So, or I could just make one for summer because I feel like it. I don't know. I put it on my list of possibilities. We will see.
Totally. Well, and I've even bought a white puzzle. It was a craft kit type thing. I don't remember if it was Walmart or Hobby Lobby or Amazon, but I bought a kit that had like 12 puzzles and each puzzle was like 12 pieces. And you could draw your own puzzle. Or fun. you could glue on something and cut it if you wanted or whatever. Mostly it was like painting or drawing or coloring a puzzle that we have done before. And then you can take apart the puzzle and put the puzzles together. I mean, it's just small. It's just like 12 pieces. But even that's kind of a fun little crafty thing that could take some creativity if you wanted to.
Yep. And so with all of these things, I think part of what makes this stuff fun isn't that this is now the expectation for every mom of whatever age your kids are at. But instead, there is something about finding the things that bring you joy in your stage of life that's so fun. And creativity, finding something creative is one of the things that can help with that. Finding something active, right? I don't love getting freezing in the sprinklers, but I have kids who love the water. And so that can be fun. Someone else might not love puzzling or love painting, but they love coloring or they love braiding hair or whatever. And so I think some of the key things that I'm hearing as we're talking about our list of possibilities and also what we stepped into is finding ways to enjoy whatever this particular season has to offer and bringing in some physical activity, bringing in some creativity, because those things just feed the soul when you can tap into the things that you like. And so there's plenty of hard. There's plenty of hard at all the different stages. We don't have to create that. It just shows up. But it's nice to create these other things.
Yeah. Fun to hear ideas and be brainstorming. I think that really there's lots of ideas out there. And so let your imagination go, right?
Yep. All right. Well, I'm so glad you told us about the puzzle and about the sprinklers. That's super fun. All right, everybody out there who's listening, happy summer. And wherever you are, 2 weeks in or whenever you listen to this, you can celebrate what has happened, whether it was planned or unplanned. And you still have time ahead of you, whether it's still summer or whether you're going into the school year when you hear this. You can embrace the season that you're in. We hope you do.
Thanks for coming to Meeting of the Moms. We hope it made your load a little lighter. We'd love to hear what's on your mind. Send your celebrations, takeaways, and suggestions for future topics to momswithamyandlorna@gmail.com.
If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. If this isn't the right fit for you, we wish you well on your journey. Until next time, I'm Amy Rasmussen.
And I'm Lorna Adams. See you next week at Moms.